Hello everyone, welcome to the What If Anime YouTube channel. Today, we're diving into an exciting new story that will take your imagination to the next level. Let's get started. What if Naruto and Futu Jinchuriki fell in love with each other? Part 1. The wind howled through the dense forest surrounding Tokigakure, rustling the leaves like whispers of forgotten stories. Naruto Uzumaki trudged through the undergrowth, his orange jacket torn in places, his body aching from yet another exhausting mission. He had been sent to this secluded village on an errand for Tsunade, something about diplomatic talks with the leader of Tokigakure. But politics had never interested him. He exhaled, shaking his head as he pushed forward. The people here weren't as openly hostile as those in Konoha once were, but their eyes held the same wariness, the same unspoken judgment. He knew that look well. It was the look of people who saw a monster before they saw a person. He clenched his fists, stuffing them into his pockets as he tried to ignore the weight of it. Then he saw her. She sat by the riverbank, feet submerged in the cool water, her green hair catching the last golden rays of the setting sun. She hummed a tune, something light and carefree, as if the world hadn't cast shadows upon her. But Naruto recognized those eyes even from afar, the kind that hid loneliness behind a smile. He had seen it in his own reflection far too often. "Hey," he called out, stepping closer. The girl turned her head, blinking at him before a wide grin stretched across her face. "Yo, who are you?" she asked, her voice carrying an infectious energy. "Naruto Uzumaki." He plopped down beside her without waiting for an invitation. "And you?" "Fu," she chirped, kicking her legs playfully in the water. "You're not from around here, huh?" Naruto snorted. "That obvious?" Fu chuckled, leaning back on her hands. "Well, for one, you're wearing bright orange in a village that literally hides in a waterfall. Stealth doesn't seem to be your thing." He laughed, rubbing the back of his head. "Yeah, I get that a lot." His laughter faded as he looked at her, really looked at her. There was something about the way she smiled, so full of life, yet laced with an undertone of something unspoken. "You're a Jinchuriki, aren't you?" he asked suddenly. Fu's grin faltered for just a fraction of a second, but then she shrugged. "Yup, 7 tails. Guess that means you're one too." "9 tails," he admitted, watching her carefully. Most Jinchuriki he had met bore their burden with bitterness, Gaara, even himself. But Fu, she seemed different. Instead of responding with resentment, she gave him a mischievous smirk. "So does that mean you get 9 times the trouble I do?" Naruto blinked before chuckling. "Something like that." Fu leaned forward, resting her chin on her hands as she studied him. "You don't seem as angry as the others." Naruto let out a slow breath, staring at the rippling water. "I used to be. Hell, I still am sometimes. But I guess, I realized that being mad at the world wasn't gonna change anything." He looked at her. "What about you?" She tilted her head. "What about me? You don't seem bitter either." Fu was silent for a moment before she flopped onto her back, staring at the sky. "What's the point? People fear what they don't understand. It's not their fault." "Well, okay, maybe a little," she added with a pout. "But I figured if I let it get to me, I'd never be happy. And I wanna be happy, you know." Naruto stared at her. Her words were so simple, yet they carried a weight that pressed against his chest. He had spent years trying to prove himself, trying to force the world to see him differently. And here was Fu, accepting things as they were yet still choosing to smile. "That's kinda amazing," he admitted. She turned her head, grinning. "I know, right?" For the first time in a long while, Naruto felt something shift inside him. A warmth that had nothing to do with the fading sunlight. Maybe, just maybe, he wasn't as alone in this world as he had thought. The silence between them was comfortable, the kind of quiet that didn't need to be filled with words. Naruto watched as Fu kicked the water lazily, her eyes half-lidded in thought. He didn't know what it was about her, but she was different from anyone he'd met before. Not just because she was a Jinchuriki, but because she didn't carry the same kind of pain he had seen in others, at least, not in the same way. You ever think about leaving? Naruto asked, breaking the silence. Fu blinked, turning her gaze toward him. Leaving, Takigakure, he clarified, just getting out, going somewhere new where people don't look at you like you're some kind of freak. Fu let out a soft hum, tilting her head as if considering it. Sometimes, she admitted, but then I wonder, would it really be different anywhere else? Naruto frowned, leaning back on his elbows. I used to think that too. Like no matter where I went, people would always see me as the fox. But things changed. She rolled onto her side, propping herself up on one elbow. Change how? Naruto hesitated. He wasn't sure how to put it into words. I guess, I made people see me for who I am, not just what I am. It took a long time, and it wasn't easy, but I think it's possible. Fu studied him for a long moment before she grinned. So what you're saying is, if I beat the crap out of enough people, they'll respect me. Naruto snorted. I mean, that's one way to do it. She laughed, the sound light and free, and for a moment, Naruto forgot about everything else. The mission, the village, the weight of the Kyuubi inside him. All that mattered was this moment, sitting beside someone who understood him in a way no one else ever had. You're not like the others, he said suddenly. Fu raised an eyebrow. Because I'm prettier. Naruto blinked, caught off guard. What? No, I mean, wait, I'm not saying you're not pretty, I just... Fu burst out laughing, her whole body shaking. Relax, I'm just messing with you. Naruto huffed, crossing his arms. Geez, you're worse than Ero Sennin. Never mind, he muttered, shaking his head. What I meant was, most Jinchuriki I've met, they carry a lot of anger. Gaara, even me, we all had something to prove. But you don't seem like you're trying to prove anything. Fu's laughter faded, and for the first time, her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. That's because I already know I can't. Naruto's chest tightened at the quiet admission. He knew that feeling, that sinking, hollow acceptance that no matter what you did, some people would never change their minds about you. That's not true, he said firmly. Fu shrugged, her fingers trailing through the water. Maybe not, but that's why I smile, you know. If I'm gonna be hated anyway, I'd rather be hated as someone who's happy. Naruto didn't know what to say to that. He had spent so long fighting against the hatred, trying to claw his way out of the darkness. But Fu, she had learned to dance in it. He exhaled, shaking his head with a small smile. You're weird. Fu grinned. Takes one to know one, whiskers. He touched his cheeks reflexively. Whiskers. Fu giggled. Yup, you've got those cute little marks, like a fox. Naruto groaned. Not you too. She nudged him playfully. Oh, come on, it's adorable. Naruto turned his face away, pretending to grumble, but his lips twitched. He hadn't felt this light in a long time. Maybe ever. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the river in hues of gold and crimson, Naruto found himself thinking that maybe, just maybe, meeting Fu was the best thing that had happened to him in a long time. Night settled over the forest, the moon casting silver light across the water. Fireflies flickered in the air, their soft glow making the river shimmer like a dream. Naruto and Fu remained by the riverbank, neither in a hurry to leave. The quiet between them wasn't awkward, it was the kind of silence that felt natural, as if they had always known each other. Fu stretched her arms over her head and let out a satisfied sigh. You know, I like you, Whiskers. Naruto gave her a skeptical look. Is this because I let you call me that without fighting back? Partly, she admitted with a mischievous grin. But mostly because you get it. Naruto leaned back, resting on his hands. Yeah, I get it. Fu fell quiet, her gaze drifting toward the sky. You ever wonder what it'd be like if we weren't Jinchuriki? Naruto considered her words. It was something he had thought about before, What life would have been like without the Kyuubi, without the isolation, without the pain. But now, he wasn't sure anymore. I used to, he admitted. But then I realized, being a Jinchuriki made me who I am. I wouldn't have met the people I did, wouldn't have fought so hard to prove myself. And I definitely wouldn't be here talking to you. Fu blinked, caught off guard by his words. A slow smile spread across her face, something softer than before. You're really something, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto chuckled. I get that a lot. She nudged his shoulder playfully. Not always in a good way, I bet. Hey, he nudged her back, and she laughed, rolling away from him dramatically as if he had sent her flying. The warmth between them was something new, something Naruto wasn't used to. It wasn't like the admiration he had for Sakura or the complicated bond he had with Hinata. It was easy, natural, like breathing. Fu sat up again, her eyes shining in the moonlight. Hey, Whiskers, let's make a promise. Naruto raised an eyebrow. A promise. She nodded, suddenly serious. No matter what happens, no matter where we end up, we won't let this world break us. We'll be happy, for real. Naruto stared at her. He could hear the unspoken weight behind her words, the quiet fear that someday, the world might wear them down, turn them into something they never wanted to be. He had felt that fear too. Slowly, he grinned and held out his pinky finger. Deal. Fu blinked before laughing, linking her pinky with his. You're such a dork. And you're weird, he shot back. Like I said, Fu grinned, takes one to know one. They stayed there, side by side, beneath the stars. And for the first time in a long time, Naruto didn't feel like a Jinchuriki. He didn't feel like a monster. He just felt like himself. The night air carried a faint chill, but Naruto barely noticed. The warmth of Fu's presence beside him was enough. She hummed a tune, soft and light, as if the weight of their burdens didn't exist for a little while. You always this cheerful? Naruto asked, glancing at her. Fu smirked. Gotta be, right, if I don't smile, no one else will do it for me. Naruto frowned. He knew that feeling, the act of putting on a brave face, pretending everything was fine just so the loneliness wouldn't swallow you whole. But something about Fu was different. She wasn't just pretending, she was choosing happiness, even when the world refused to give it to her. That's kinda badass, he admitted. Fu laughed, throwing her hands behind her head as she lay back on the grass. I am pretty amazing. Naruto chuckled, shaking his head. You remind me of someone. Let me guess, she said, turning to look at him, one of your teammates. He hesitated. No, more like, someone I wish I had as a teammate. Fu's eyes widened slightly before her expression softened. Well, Whiskers, who says we can't be? Naruto blinked. Huh, Fu grinned, rolling onto her side to face him. Think about it, you travel around, right? You're not tied down to Konoha all the time. And me, I could use an adventure. Imagine the two of us, the Jinchuriki duo, causing trouble across the world. Naruto laughed at the idea. Yeah, because that wouldn't scare the hell out of every village we visit. Exactly, Fu giggled. We'd be legends. The strongest, most annoying Jinchuriki pair ever. Naruto smirked. I like how you assume I'm the annoying one. Oh, please. Fu nudged him. You talk like you're immune to your own loudmouth tendencies. Oi, Naruto pouted, and Fu burst into laughter. The thought of traveling with her, of breaking away from the expectations of their villages, was tempting. He had spent so long trying to prove himself in Konoha, trying to earn their respect. But Fu, she didn't expect anything from him. She just liked him for who he was. You serious about leaving? He asked after a moment. Fu hesitated, her fingers idly tugging at the grass. I dunno, maybe. Sometimes I wonder if there's something more out there for me. Naruto understood that feeling all too well. You ever been outside your village? He asked. She shook her head. Nope. Takigakure keeps me on a short leash. They let me believe I'm free, but I know better. Something about the way she said it made Naruto's jaw tighten. He had fought for his place in Konoha, but at least he had been given the chance to try asterisk. Phew, she was trapped. Just like Gaara had been. You should come to Konoha, Naruto said suddenly. Fu blinked, caught off guard. Huh, Naruto scratched the back of his head. I mean, not permanently or anything, but just to visit. Meet my friends, see the village. You don't have to stay locked up here forever, you know. Fu stared at him for a long moment, her usual grin absent. Then, slowly, she smiled, but this time, it was different. Softer, more real. You'd really want me there? She asked quietly. Naruto rolled his eyes. Duh, why wouldn't I? Fu opened her mouth, then closed it, as if she wasn't sure how to answer. Finally, she just chuckled. You really are something else, Whiskers. Naruto grinned. Told you. Fu looked up at the stars, her expression unreadable. Maybe I will, she said at last. Maybe I'll take you up on that offer someday. Naruto smirked. I'll hold you to it. Fu laughed, her eyes sparkling in the moonlight. Deal. And for the first time in a long time, the idea of the future didn't seem so lonely. The night stretched on, the soft murmur of the river filling the spaces between their words. Naruto found himself relaxing in a way he rarely did. With Fu, there was no pressure to prove himself, no expectations weighing him down. She just accepted him, and that was something he hadn't realized he needed. Fu sat up, hugging her knees to her chest. You think if we weren't Jinchuriki, we'd still have met? Naruto considered the question. Maybe, maybe not, but if we did, I think we'd still get along. Fu smiled, resting her chin on her knees. Yeah, I think so too. For a while, they just sat there, letting the night speak for them. Then Fu stretched, standing up with a dramatic sigh. All right, Whiskers, I should probably get back before my village starts freaking out. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Did they actually care that much? She smirked. Not really, but if I'm gone too long, they might think I ran away. Naruto stood up too, brushing dirt off his pants. Would you? Fu hesitated. Maybe, if I had a reason. Naruto didn't know what to say to that, so he just nodded. Yes, you should get going, then. Fu grinned. You sound disappointed. Naruto rubbed the back of his head. Well, it was nice talking to someone who gets it, you know. Her smile softened. Yeah, it was. There was a beat of silence before Fu suddenly stepped forward and hugged him. Naruto stiffened in surprise, not used to this kind of contact. But then he relaxed, his arms awkwardly wrapping around her. You give warm hugs, she mumbled against his shoulder. Naruto chuckled. Thanks. Fu pulled back, still smiling. See you around, Whiskers. Then, with a light hop, she darted into the trees, her green hair disappearing into the night. Naruto stood there for a moment, staring after her, before shaking his head with a grin. Yeah, he muttered to himself. See you around, Fu. As he turned to head back to his own camp, he couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't the last time they'd cross paths. And for the first time in a long while, the thought of the future didn't seem so lonely. Days passed, but Fu never quite left Naruto's thoughts. He went through his missions as usual, training harder than ever, but every now and then, he'd catch himself thinking about that night by the river. About her laughter, her teasing, and the way she just got him. It wasn't like the friendships he had with his teammates. Sakura, Kakashi, and even Sasuke, they were part of his life, but there was always something different about the way he had to fight for their acknowledgement. With Fu, there was no struggle, no proving himself. She had looked at him and seen Naruto, not just the Kyuubi's container, not just another shinobi. And if he was being honest with himself, he missed her. It wasn't until a few weeks later, during a diplomatic meeting in the Land of Rivers, that fate decided to throw them together again. Naruto had been walking through a small marketplace, enjoying a rare break from his duties, when a familiar burst of green caught his eye. He stopped in his tracks, eyes widening. Number way, asterisk, Fu was there, browsing a fruit stand, munching on what looked like a mango. She looked exactly the same, bright-eyed, carefree, and completely out of place in a world that took itself too seriously. Naruto barely had time to react before she spotted him. Her eyes widened in recognition before she grinned. Whiskers. Naruto barely had time to brace himself before she launched at him, wrapping him in a tight hug. He stumbled back, laughing. Oi, give a guy some warning. Fu just giggled, squeezing him tighter before pulling back. What are you doing here? I should be asking you that, Naruto said, still grinning. Did Tokigakure finally let you out? Fu rolled her eyes. Something like that. My village sent me to help with negotiations. You. Same. Naruto scratched his head. Yes, we're here for the same thing. Fu hummed thoughtfully before smirking. Or maybe it's fate. Naruto blinked. Fate. She winked. Yup. Maybe we were meant to run into each other again. Naruto's face warmed slightly at the way she said it, but he just scoffed. You sound like one of those old monks back in Konoha. Fu laughed, tossing the mango seed aside. Hey, monks are wise, you know. Naruto rolled his eyes but couldn't help smiling. So, how long are you staying? Fu grinned. Long enough to make you sick of me. Naruto snorted. Not possible. She arched an eyebrow. Oh, you sure about that? Naruto smirked, crossing his arms. Try me. Fu stared at him for a moment before her grin widened. Challenge accepted, Whiskers. And just like that, the warmth that had been missing in Naruto's life for the past few weeks was back, like it had never left. The next few days passed in a blur, and Naruto found himself spending every free moment with Fu. Diplomatic meetings were long and boring, filled with stiff conversations between village elders and shinobi leaders. But outside those halls, Naruto and Fu made their own world, one filled with laughter, stolen moments, and a growing closeness neither of them had expected. They wandered the streets of the land of rivers together, exploring markets, stuffing their faces with street food, and pulling ridiculous pranks on unsuspecting merchants. Fu had a knack for mischief that rivaled his own, and Naruto found himself genuinely having fun, not just training, not just fighting, but living asterisk. One afternoon, as they sat by a quiet lake on the outskirts of the village, Fu stretched her arms over her head and let out a content sigh. Man, if diplomacy always came with this much free time, I wouldn't mind doing it more often. Naruto chuckled, leaning back on his elbows. Yeah, I don't think our villages would be too happy if they knew how much we've been slacking off. Fu smirked. Let him be mad. Not like they can stop me from enjoying myself. Naruto studied her for a moment. You really don't care what they think, huh? She hesitated, then shrugged. I do. I used to, at least. But then I realized, no matter what I do, I'll always be the Jinchuriki of Tokigakure asterisk to them. So why bother? Naruto understood that all too well. For years, he had chased after the approval of his village, desperate to be seen as more than just the Kyuubi's host. He had fought, bled, and nearly died trying to change their perception of him. But Fu, she had simply chosen not to let their opinions define her. He admired that about her. Still, Fu continued, plucking a blade of grass and twirling it between her fingers, I guess it's nice to know that some people see me for who I really am. Naruto smiled. Yeah, it is. Fu turned to him then, her gaze softer than usual. You know, Whiskers, you're kinda dangerous. Naruto blinked. Huh. Fu chuckled, flicking the blade of grass at him. You make people want to believe in something better. That's dangerous. Naruto scratched his head, feeling his face heat up. That a bad thing? Fu hummed, tapping her chin thoughtfully. Nah, just means you better not go breaking any hearts along the way. Naruto scoffed. Please, like I could break anyone's heart. Fu's expression shifted, just a flicker of something unreadable in her eyes before she grinned. Guess we'll see. Naruto didn't know why, but something about the way she said it made his chest feel tight. The sun was beginning to set, casting golden hues across the lake. The air between them felt different now, still lighthearted, but charged with something else. Something neither of them had spoken aloud yet. And for the first time, Naruto wondered if maybe, just maybe, Fu wasn't just a friend. The realization lingered in Naruto's mind long after that evening by the lake. He wasn't sure what it meant, or if he even wanted to figure it out. All he knew was that Fu had become someone he didn't want to lose. They continued spending time together, falling into an effortless rhythm. The more they talked, the more Naruto realized how much they had in common, how much she understood him in ways few others ever had. But there was something else, too. Something that made his heart race a little faster when she laughed, or when she leaned in just a little too close, eyes sparkling with mischief. It was a strange feeling. Exciting, terrifying. One night, they sat on the roof of the inn where the visiting shinobi were staying, staring at the stars. The diplomatic talks had been going in circles, the adults arguing about alliances and trade agreements, while Naruto and Fu found more creative ways to avoid being dragged into the politics of it all. Fu dangled her legs over the edge, swinging them lazily. You ever wonder what it'd be like to just leave? Naruto glanced at her. Leave. Yeah, she tilted her head back, gazing at the sky. Forget the villages, forget the Jinchuriki stuff. Just go wherever we want. No rules, no responsibilities, just freedom asterisk. Naruto hesitated. It was a tempting thought. For so long, his life had been about proving himself to Konoha, about earning their respect. But Fu, she didn't need anyone's approval. She just was asterisk, and Naruto envied that about her. That's not really an option for me, he admitted. I have people back home who need me. Fu hummed, resting her chin on her knees. Yeah, I figured you'd say that. Naruto frowned. That a bad thing? She shook her head. Nah, it's one of the things I like about you. Naruto felt his face heat up. Like about me? Fu smirked, turning to look at him. Don't overthink it, Whiskers. I just mean, you care. About your friends, your village. You don't let what happened to you make you bitter. That's rare. Naruto swallowed. And what about you? Fu's smirk faltered, just for a second. Me. You act like you don't care about what people think, Naruto said. But if that were true, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be trying to prove something to your village. Fu was quiet for a moment, her expression unreadable. Then, she let out a small laugh. Damn, you're a lot sharper than people give you credit for. Naruto nudged her with his shoulder. That a compliment? She grinned. Maybe. Silence stretched between them, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was the kind of quiet that only existed between people who didn't need to fill every moment with words. Then, out of nowhere, Fu sighed dramatically. Man, I really wish I could take you back to Takidakure with me. Naruto blinked. Huh? Fu shot him a playful look. What, you think I'm gonna let Konoha hog all the fun? You'd love it there. Waterfalls, forests, crazy strong shinobi, it's got everything. Naruto chuckled. Sounds nice, but I think my Hokage might have a problem with that. Fu pouted. Konoha is so selfish. Naruto grinned. Guess you'll just have to come visit me instead. Fu's expression shifted, just a flicker of something softer, something hesitant. Then, she smiled. Maybe I will. Naruto didn't know what this was between them. Friendship, something more. All he knew was that he didn't want it to end. And as they sat there, under the stars, a quiet thought settled in the back of his mind. Maybe, I don't want to say goodbye. Asterisk. The days passed too quickly, and before Naruto knew it, the diplomatic talks were coming to an end. The shinobi from each village would soon return home, and with them, Fu would be gone too. Naruto hated goodbyes. They always felt too final, too heavy. And this one felt wrong asterisk. He sat with Fu by the river, their usual spot whenever they managed to sneak away from their duties. She was unusually quiet tonight, absent-mindedly tossing pebbles into the water. "You okay?" Naruto asked, nudging her shoulder. Fu hummed, tilting her head. "Dunno, just thinking." Naruto waited. She wasn't the type to sit in silence unless something was really on her mind. Finally, she sighed. "I don't want to go back." Naruto frowned. "What do you mean?" She picked up another pebble, rolling it between her fingers. "Takigakure, it's my home, but it doesn't feel like home." "Not really. I have my sensei, but the rest of the village. They tolerate me, but they don't accept me. I don't belong there." Naruto's heart clenched. He knew that feeling all too well. "You belong with the people who care about you," he said firmly. "Even if they're not in Takigakure." Fu looked at him then, her bright orange eyes searching his. "So, you're saying I belong with you?" Naruto opened his mouth, but the words caught in his throat. Did he mean that? Yes, he did. The realization hit him like a punch to the gut. He didn't want Fu to leave because she mattered asterisk. More than he had let himself admit. Fu smirked at his silence. "Gotcha thinking, huh?" Naruto swallowed, forcing a grin. "TCH, you wish." She laughed, nudging him playfully. "Relax, Whiskers. I know you've got your whole Hokage dream and everything. I'm not asking you to drop everything and run away with me." Naruto chuckled, but a small part of him wondered, what if? What if things were different? What if they could just leave, be free, and live without the weight of their villages? But he wasn't that selfish. And Fu wasn't the type to abandon her responsibilities either. "Still, you could come visit Konoha," Naruto said. "You don't have to stay stuck in Takigakure forever." Fu smiled, but there was something sad about it. "Yeah, maybe I will." Naruto didn't like that answer. It wasn't a promise asterisk. A breeze rolled through the riverbank, carrying the scent of rain. Fu sighed, stretching her arms above her head. "Welp, yes, I should head back before my sensei starts hunting me down." Naruto hesitated. "Fu," she turned, waiting. Naruto wanted to say something. "Stay, I don't want you to go. I don't know what this is between us, but I know I don't want to lose it." Asterisk. But he wasn't good with words like that. He had never been. So instead, he just said, "Don't forget me, okay?" Fu blinked, then let out a small, breathy laugh. "You're an idiot, Whiskers." Before he could ask why, she stepped forward and kissed him. Asterisk. It was quick, just a soft press of her lips against his cheek, but it froze Naruto in place. His heart slammed against his ribs, his brain short-circuiting. By the time he snapped out of it, Fu was already walking away, hands stuffed into her pockets. "See you around, Naruto," she called over her shoulder. And then, just like that, she was gone. Naruto stood there for a long time, staring at the empty space where she had been, one hand touching his cheek. And for the first time in his life, he realized this was a goodbye he didn't know how to handle. Naruto didn't sleep that night. He lay on his bed in the inn, staring at the ceiling, replaying the moment over and over in his head. The feel of Fu's lips against his cheek, the way she had smiled before walking away, like she knew she was leaving him with more questions than answers. It was frustrating, confusing, and worst of all, it made his chest ache in a way he didn't understand. "See you around, Naruto." Asterisk. That wasn't a real goodbye. It wasn't a promise either. It was something in between, something uncertain. And Naruto hated uncertainty. The next morning, he stood at the village gates, arms crossed, watching as the delegation from Takigakure prepared to leave. Fu was there, talking with her sensei, looking as carefree as ever. But Naruto knew better now. He knew she felt things just as deeply as he did. She just hid it behind that easygoing smile. She caught his gaze across the crowd and smirked. "Yo, Whiskers, come to see me off." Naruto scoffed. "What, You think I'd let you sneak off without saying bye properly? Fu grinned, walking over to him. Ah, I knew you'd miss me. Naruto rolled his eyes. TCH, you wish, but Fu just tilted her head, studying him. You thinking about that kiss? Naruto felt his face heat up. Wah, I wasn't. Fu laughed, reaching out to poke his forehead. Relax, Whiskers. Just wanted to make sure you won't forget me. Like I could, Naruto muttered. Fu's expression softened. Good. A whistle sounded from her group, Takigaku's way of calling its shinobi to move out. Fu sighed. Welp, yes, that's my cue. Naruto clenched his fists, feeling that awful ache in his chest again. He had fought so hard his whole life to keep the people he cared about close. Now, for the first time, he was letting someone walk away, and he hated it. Fu must have noticed, because she suddenly leaned in, whispering in his ear. You'll see me again, Naruto. Promise. Naruto swallowed. You better. Fu winked. And when I do, you better have figured out what that kiss meant, yeah? Naruto gaped. Oi, but before he could say anything else, she was already walking away, waving over her shoulder. And as he watched her disappear down the road, Naruto made a silent bow to himself. He would see her again. And next time, he wouldn't let her walk away so easily. Weeks passed, but Naruto couldn't shake the thoughts of Fu from his mind. He threw himself into training, pushing harder than ever, but no matter how exhausted he got, she was there, in the back of his mind, in the way his heart clenched whenever he saw a flash of green, in the way he kept replaying her words over and over. And when I do, you better have figured out what that kiss meant, yeah? Asterisk. Naruto had no idea what it meant, and that frustrated him more than anything. He had never really thought about love before. Sure, he had a stupid crush on Sakura growing up, but that had been more about proving himself than anything real. And sure, he had admired other girls, but it had never been like this asterisk. This was different, because Fu had gotten under his skin without even trying. And the more time passed, the more he realized that he missed her. Not just as a friend, not just as someone who understood him. He missed her asterisk, her laugh, her stupid jokes, the way she made everything feel lighter. And that scared him, because what if he never saw her again? What if that moment by the river had been their only chance? What if she moved on, forgot about him, found someone else? No, asterisk. Naruto clenched his fists. That wasn't going to happen. He had spent his whole life fighting for what mattered to him. In this, she mattered. He wasn't going to just sit around waiting for fate to decide if they'd meet again. He was going to find her. It took time. Officially, Naruto had no reason to visit Takigaku, and convincing Tsunade to send him on a mission there wasn't easy. But Naruto was nothing if not persistent. So when an opportunity finally came, a joint training exercise between Konoha and Takigaku's shinobi, Naruto didn't hesitate. The moment he stepped into Takigaku, his heart pounded. It was a beautiful place, full of towering waterfalls and lush greenery, but Naruto barely noticed any of it. Because all he cared about was her asterisk. And when he finally saw Fu, standing across the training grounds, grinning as she sparred with one of her fellow shinobi, he felt something in his chest click asterisk. Like he had finally found something he hadn't even known he was looking for. Fu must have sensed him watching because she suddenly turned, eyes locking onto his. For a second, she just stared. Then, she grinned asterisk. Naruto barely had time to brace himself before she launched at him, tackling him to the ground in a blur of green and orange. Whiskers, she laughed, pinning him down. What the hell are you doing here? Naruto grinned up at her, breathless. What, you think I was just gonna sit around and wait for you? Fu blinked, then smirked. Damn, took you long enough. Naruto chuckled, staring up at her. And for the first time in weeks, the ache in his chest was gone. Because he had found her. And this time, he wasn't letting go. Fu still hadn't gotten off him. Not that Naruto minded, but the way she straddled his waist, pinning his arms down, made his heart hammer against his ribs. He was aware of her in a way he hadn't been before. The warmth of her body, the bright, playful spark in her eyes, the way her green locks framed her face as she grinned down at him. It was unfair how effortlessly she got under his skin. "Oi," he muttered, squirming. "You gonna let me up or what?" Fu smirked. Nope, I think I like you like this." Naruto sputtered. "What, Fu? Get off," she laughed, finally releasing him and hopping back to her feet. Naruto sat up quickly, dusting himself off, ignoring the heat in his face. "You seriously need to work on your greetings," he grumbled. "Hey, at least I didn't kiss you this time," Fu teased, winking. Naruto choked. That was one time." Fu just shrugged, looking far too smug for his liking. "So, you figure out what it meant yet?" Naruto hesitated. He had thought about it, more than he wanted to admit. But saying it out loud, that was harder. Fu studied him, and for a moment, her teasing demeanor faded. "You know, Whiskers, I was starting to think you forgot about me." Naruto scoffed. "As if, you think I'd go through all this trouble just to say hi if I forgot about you?" Fu tilted her head, eyes searching his face. "Then why are you here, Naruto?" The question caught him off guard. He opened his mouth, then shut it. He hadn't really planned for this part. But he knew the answer. "I missed you," he admitted before he could overthink it. Fu's eyes widened slightly, and for the first time, she looked surprised. Then, slowly, she smiled. And this time, it wasn't teasing or smug. It was real asterisk. "Yeah," she said, voice softer than usual. Naruto scratched the back of his head, looking away. "Yeah." Fu was quiet for a moment. Then, before he could react, she punched him lightly in the shoulder. "Good," she said, grinning. "Because I missed you too, Whiskers." Naruto looked at her, startled. She meant it, he could tell. Something warm spread through his chest, something that had nothing to do with excitement and everything to do with relief asterisk. Because this thing between them, it wasn't just in his head. It was real, and maybe, just maybe, that was enough for now. Naruto didn't leave Fu's side for the rest of the day. They trained together, sparred until their limbs ached, and laughed like no time had passed at all. It was easy with her. No awkward silences, no expectations, just them asterisk. And for the first time in weeks, Naruto felt like he could breathe. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting Takigakur in golden light, a quiet tension settled between them. Because soon, Naruto would have to leave. And this time, he wasn't sure he could. They sat by one of the smaller waterfalls, watching the water crash against the rocks below. Fu had her arms wrapped around her knees, expression thoughtful. "So," she said, breaking the silence, "what happens now?" Naruto frowned. "What do you mean?" Fu shot him a look. "I mean as, Whiskers. You came all this way just to see me, so, what now?" Naruto hesitated. He wasn't good at this kind of thing. He was used to fighting for what he wanted, but this was different. But if there was one thing he knew, it was that he didn't want to say goodbye again. "I don't know," he admitted. "But I don't want this to be the last time we see each other." Fu hummed, tilting her head. "You really are stubborn, huh?" Naruto smirked. "You're just figuring that out." Fu chuckled, but there was something serious in her gaze. "Long distance is kinda tricky, you know." Naruto swallowed. "Yeah," she tapped her chin, pretending to think. "Boo it, I could visit Konoha sometime. If your Hokage doesn't mind." Naruto brightened. "Really?" Fu grinned. "Sure, I mean, you did go through all this trouble for me. Guess I should return the favor." Naruto scratched his cheek, feeling heat creep up his neck. "Hey, well, you know, I am kinda awesome." Fu laughed. Yeah, don't let it go to your head." A comfortable silence stretched between them, but Naruto could still feel the weight of the moment. This wasn't just a simple visit anymore. This was something real asterisk. And maybe he still didn't have all the answers, maybe he didn't know what this was between them. But he knew one thing for sure. He wasn't letting Fu slip away again. Naruto and Fu sat in silence for a while, the roar of the waterfall filling the space between them. It wasn't an awkward silence, not like the kind Naruto had felt with others before. This was different, it was comfortable, like they didn't need words to understand each other. But that didn't mean Naruto didn't have a lot on his mind. Fu was leaving again. He hated that part, but this time, it was different. This time, there was a promise, however uncertain, that they would meet again. Still, he didn't want to waste the time they had left. "Hey," he said, nudging her with his shoulder. "Wanna go for one last race before I head back?" Fu's lips curled into a smirk. "What? Need me to beat you again?" Naruto scoffed. "PFF'd, please asterisk. I totally let you win last time." Fu raised an eyebrow. "Oh, is that so?" "Damn right." Fu grinned, already standing up. "All right, Whiskers, one last race. Loser owes the winner ramen next time we meet." Naruto smirked. "Hey, hope you've got money saved up, 'cause you're buying asterisk." They lined up at the edge of the waterfall's bank, crouching into a ready position. The air was thick with anticipation, but underneath it all, Naruto could feel something else. Something unspoken. "This isn't really about the race, is it?" Asterisk. Fu met his gaze, and for a moment, Naruto thought she was about to say something. But then, "Go," she yelled, taking off before he could react. "Oi," Naruto shouted, scrambling after her. She cheated, again. But he didn't care, because as he chased after her, hearing her laughter echo through the trees, he realized something. This moment, this feeling, was what he had been missing. And next time, he wouldn't just chase after her. He'd make sure she had a reason to chase after him too. Naruto pushed himself harder, feet pounding against the dirt as he closed the gap between them. Fu was fast, really fast, but so was he. He grinned as he caught up, matching her stride for stride. "You call this running?" he taunted. "I thought you were supposed to be fast." Fu shot him a smirk over her shoulder. "Oh, Whiskers, you really shouldn't have said that." Then, she kicked off the ground, flipping midair and bursting forward with a sudden surge of speed. Naruto gawked. "Oh, come on," but he wasn't about to let her win that easily. He leaned forward, pouring chakra into his legs, and pushed, launching himself ahead with a burst of speed. They tore through the trees, laughter and footsteps echoing in the wind. And for that brief moment, Naruto forgot about everything else. No missions, no responsibilities, no looming goodbyes. Just this asterisk, just her asterisk. The finish line was a fallen tree near the outskirts of the training grounds. Naruto could see it, just a little more. Fu dived forward at the last second, rolling into a smooth landing right before he could reach it. "Ha!" she whooped, throwing her arms up. And still the reigning champ. Naruto skidded to a stop, breathing hard. Damn it, that was so close. Fu turned to him, hands on her hips, grinning wide. "A deal's a deal, Whiskers. You owe me ramen next time." Naruto groaned. "TCH. Fine, fine." Then he smirked. "But only 'cause I want to see you again." Fu's grin faltered, just for a second. Then she shoved his shoulder lightly. "Smooth, Uzumaki." Naruto shrugged. "Hey, it's the truth." Fu looked at him for a moment, something unreadable flickering in her eyes. Then, to his surprise, she reached up and ruffled his hair. "See, this is why I like you, Whiskers," she said, voice softer than before. Naruto blinked. "Huh." Fu just smirked and took a step back. "Don't go getting all sentimental on me now. You'll see me again soon enough." Naruto stared at her, taking in the way the setting sun made her green hair glow, the playful glint in her eyes. And he realized something. He believed her. This wasn't goodbye. Not this time. Naruto didn't take his eyes off Fu as the sun dipped lower behind the trees. He knew he had to leave soon. Tsunade had only given him so much time before he had to return to Konoha, but he wasn't ready to walk away just yet. Fu seemed to sense it too. She rocked back on her heels, hands clasped behind her head, looking up at the sky. "You know," she said casually, "I never really thought I'd have someone to miss." Naruto tilted his head. "What do you mean?" Fu shrugged, but her voice held a quiet honesty. "Being a Jinchuriki, it's kinda lonely, you know. Most people don't stick around. Either they're scared, or they just see me as a weapon." She glanced at him. "But you're different." Naruto swallowed. He knew that loneliness. He had lived it. "Yeah," he said softly. "I get it." Fu gave him a small smile. "I figured you would." Silence stretched between them again, but this time, it was heavy asterisk. There was something they weren't saying, something hanging in the air between them, waiting to be acknowledged. Naruto took a breath. "Fu, when you kissed me back then." Fu's smirk returned, playful as ever. "Oh, now you wanna talk about it?" Naruto scowled. "Oi, I'm being serious." She laughed but didn't interrupt. Just waited. Naruto scratched the back of his head, searching for the right words. He wasn't great at this stuff, wasn't great at expressing things that weren't tied to fighting or protecting his friends. But he wanted to say this right. "That kiss," he started, forcing himself to meet her eyes, "it wasn't just some joke to me. It's been stuck in my head ever since." Fu blinked, expression unreadable. Naruto exhaled sharply. "And I don't know exactly what it meant, but I do know that I don't want this to be the last time I see you. I don't want to just be some guy you remember when I'm not around. I want to be." He stopped himself, suddenly aware of how fast his heart was pounding. Fu stared at him for a long moment, then she grinned. And then, before he could react, she grabbed the front of his jacket, yanked him forward, and kissed him again asterisk. It was quick, just a brush of lips, but it sent a shock through Naruto's entire system. His brain froze asterisk, his heart practically exploded asterisk. Fu pulled back, looking far too pleased with herself. "Guess that means I don't have to wait for you to figure it out, huh?" Naruto gaped. "Wah." Fu chuckled, tapping a finger against his chest. "You're mine, Whiskers. So don't go letting anyone else steal you while I'm gone, yeah." Naruto was still recovering from the kiss, but her words hit, full force, right in his chest. "You mean that?" he asked, voice quieter than before. Fu's playful expression softened. "Yeah," she admitted, "I do." Naruto's throat went dry. He had never felt anything like this before. This rush, this warmth, this certainty asterisk. And he loved it. He grinned, grabbing her hand and squeezing it. "Then you better hurry up and visit Konoha soon. 'Cause I'm not waiting forever, you know." Fu squeezed back. "You better believe it, Whiskers." And just like that, the ache of goodbye didn't feel so heavy anymore. Because this time, it wasn't really goodbye asterisk. It was just the beginning. Naruto held onto Fu's hand for a moment longer, memorizing the warmth of her touch. He didn't want to let go, but duty called, and he knew Tsunade would throw a fit if he delayed his return any longer. Fu, as always, seemed to sense his hesitation. She smirked, squeezing his fingers before finally pulling away. "Go on, Whiskers, before your Hokage sends a search party after you." Naruto sighed. Yeah, but you better keep your promise. First stop in Konoha, Ichiraku, my treat." Fu grinned. "Damn right it is. I did win our race, after all." Naruto rolled his eyes. "TCH, still think you cheated." Fu just laughed, stepping back, giving him room to leave, but her eyes lingered on him, as if she didn't want him to go any more than he wanted to leave. Naruto took a deep breath. He could do this. They would see each other again. This wasn't the end. See ya soon, Fu. Fu gave him a two-finger salute. Count on it, Whiskers. With that, Naruto turned, forcing himself to walk away. Each step felt heavier than it should. But then, just as he reached the tree line, Fu called out. Hey, Naruto. He turned, just in time for her to sprint forward, closing the distance in seconds. Before he could react, she jumped and tackled him into a hug, nearly knocking him off his feet. Naruto barely had time to process the feeling of her arms around him before she whispered, just loud enough for him to hear. Don't forget about me. Naruto tightened his grip around her, just for a second. Not a chance. Fu pulled back, flashing him one last smile, before finally letting go. And this time, this goodbye didn't feel like an ending. It felt like the start of something new. Days turned into weeks, and Naruto fell back into his routine in Konoha. Missions, training, ramen, business as usual. But no matter how busy he got, Fu was always there, lingering in the back of his mind. He found himself scanning the village gates more often, wondering when she'd show up. Then, one day, Naruto. He barely had time to react before something slammed into him, sending him crashing to the ground. Naruto blinked up, only to find Fu grinning down at him, straddling his waist just like last time. Miss me, Whiskers. Naruto stared for a second, then grinned right back. You have no idea. Fu smirked down at him, green eyes alight with mischief. Huh, didn't think you'd admit it so easily, Whiskers. Naruto scoffed. TCH, I could lie and say I barely noticed you were gone, but we both know that's not true. Fu raised an eyebrow, clearly pleased. Damn right it's not. A few villagers had stopped to stare. Not every day you saw a shinobi getting tackled in broad daylight, but Naruto barely noticed. His whole focus was on her, on the way her hands pressed into his chest, the way she was so unapologetically herself, like she belonged here. You gonna get off me, or are we staying like this? He asked, arching a brow. Fu tapped her chin. Nah, I kinda like this view. Naruto groaned. Fu. She laughed before finally hopping off, letting him sit up. He dusted himself off, but the grin never left his face. How'd you even get in here without anyone stopping you? He asked. Fu grinned. Oh, someone tried. She jerked a thumb over her shoulder, where a very confused-looking gate guard was watching them. But turns out, if you're fast enough, no one can stop you. Naruto shook his head, exasperated. Great, you're already causing trouble. Fu winked. What can I say? I missed you. Naruto blinked. She had said it so easily, like it wasn't even a big deal. But to him, it was a big deal. He swallowed, rubbing the back of his head. Hey, yeah, I missed you too. Fu's smile softened. I know. For a second, they just stood there, neither one saying anything. But Naruto could feel something shift between them, something that hadn't been there before. It wasn't just friendship anymore. It was more asterisk. So, Fu said, breaking the moment, I believe you owe me ramen. Naruto snorted. TCH. Figures that's the first thing you wanna do. Fu grabbed his wrist, already pulling him forward. Duh, I didn't come all this way just to say hi. Now come on, Whiskers, I'm starving asterisk. Naruto let himself be dragged along, shaking his head with a fond smile. Yeah, he could definitely get used to this. Ichiraku Ramen was busier than usual, but Naruto barely noticed. His focus was entirely on Fu, who was currently marveling at the menu like she had discovered some kind of ancient treasure. Okay, Whiskers, be real with me, she said, tapping the counter excitedly. Do people actually live off this stuff? 'Cause if so, I might need to move here permanently. Naruto grinned. Hey, now you get it. Ramen's not just food, it's a way of life asterisk. Fu snickered. Oh, and here I thought you were just obsessed. Tuki chuckled as he set down 2 steaming bowls in front of them. That boy's been eating here since he was a kid. If ramen were a religion, he'd be its prophet. Fu laughed, grabbing her chopsticks. Alright, let's see what the hype is about. Naruto watched as she took her first bite, her expression shifting almost instantly. Her eyes widened, and she froze mid-chew. He smirked, told ya. Fu swallowed, then slammed her hands on the counter. Okay, what the hell, why is this so good? Naruto laughed. Welcome to the best ramen in the world. Fu wasted no time demolishing her bowl, matching Naruto bite for bite. For a while, they didn't talk, just ate, laughed, and occasionally argued over who could finish first. It felt natural, like she had always been here. But even as they joked, Naruto could tell something was on her mind. The way her eyes flickered toward him between bites, the way she hesitated before speaking, she was thinking about something. Finally, as she set down her chopsticks, she sighed. Hey, Whiskers, can I ask you something? Naruto swallowed his last bite. Course. Fu spun her bowl idly. You ever think about what comes next? Naruto tilted his head. Next. Fu shrugged, eyes distant. Like, we're shinobi. We live mission to mission, right? Always moving, always fighting. But when does it stop? When do we get to just be? Naruto stared at her. He hadn't expected that question. He thought about it, about the dream he had once shouted to the world, to become Hokage, to be acknowledged. But now, sitting here, looking at her, he realized that wasn't all he wanted anymore. Honestly, he said, voice quieter than before. I don't know, but I think we make that time. When we find something worth fighting for, we hold on to it. No matter what. Fu's eyes locked onto his, and for the first time, she looked uncertain asterisk. Do you think I could have that? She asked softly. Naruto didn't hesitate. Yeah, I do. Fu exhaled, a slow smile creeping onto her lips. Huh, yes, I'm gonna have to stick around and find out, then. Naruto grinned. Good, 'cause I wasn't planning on letting you go anyway. Fu chuckled, flicking a noodle at him. You really are the stubborn type, huh? Naruto caught the noodle, smirking. TCH, you love it. Fu just laughed, shaking her head. But neither of them denied it. The night air was cool as Naruto and Fu left Ichiraku, their steps slow and unhurried. The streets of Konoha were quieter now, lanterns casting a warm glow over the village. It felt peaceful. Fu stretched her arms above her head, sighing in satisfaction. All right, Whiskers, I'll admit it. That ramen, worth the trip. Naruto grinned. Told ya. Fu glanced at him, eyes glinting with something playful. You know, if I keep coming back just for the food, people might start thinking I like you or something. Naruto smirked. Oh, and here I thought you already did. Fu scoffed, but there was no real bite to it. Cocky little fox. Naruto chuckled, shoving his hands into his pockets. You're not denying it, though. Fu gave him a long look, then suddenly stepped in front of him, blocking his path. Naruto, she said, her voice quieter now, more serious. Naruto blinked. Yeah. Fu hesitated for only a second before reaching out, fingers lightly brushing the fabric of his sleeve. I meant what I said earlier. About sticking around. Naruto's breath caught. She wasn't teasing. She wasn't playing games. She was serious asterisk. You really wanna stay? He asked. Fu nodded. I don't want to be a wandering shinobi anymore. I want a home. A real one. Naruto's heart pounded. He could see it in her eyes. This wasn't just about finding a place to live asterisk. It was about belonging asterisk. About having someone who chose to be there, not out of duty, but because they wanted to be. And in that moment, Naruto knew he wanted that too. He reached up, covering her hand with his own. Then stay, he said simply. Stay here, with me. Fu inhaled sharply. Then, slowly, her lips curled into a smile. All right, Whiskers, she murmured. Looks like you're stuck with me. Naruto grinned. Good, 'cause I wasn't letting you go anyway. Fu chuckled, shaking her head. Asterisk TCH, stubborn as ever. Naruto squeezed her hand. Yeah, and you love it. Fu tilted her head. Maybe I do. And this time, when she leaned in, Naruto didn't hesitate. Their lips met, and for the first time, there were no interruptions, no doubts, just them asterisk. And in that moment, under the quiet glow of the village, Naruto knew. He had finally found something worth holding onto. And he wasn't letting go. The kiss was warm, soft, but filled with an unspoken promise. Naruto felt his heart hammering in his chest, his senses hyper-focused on Fu, on the way her fingers curled lightly against his sleeve, on the way her breath mixed with his. When they finally pulled apart, Fu let out a small chuckle, her forehead still resting against his. Huh, so that's what it feels like when it's real asterisk. Naruto blinked, a little dazed. Wah, you mean all those other times were just practice? Fu smirked. Maybe, but this one, her fingers tightened slightly around his wrist. This one's the real deal. Naruto felt heat rise to his face, but he didn't pull away. He liked this them asterisk. Fu leaned back, stretching with a yawn. All right, Whiskers, now that I've secured free ramen and a place to stay, I guess I should figure out where I'm actually sleeping tonight. Naruto blinked. Wait, you don't have a place yet? Fu shrugged. I did kinda just show up unannounced. Naruto scratched his head. TCH, you really are reckless, huh? Fu grinned. You love it. Naruto sighed, then grinned right back. Yeah, fine. You can crash at my place tonight. Fu blinked, surprised. You sure? I don't wanna impose or anything. Naruto rolled his eyes. Boy, you literally tackled me in public 5 minutes ago, and now you're worried about imposing. Fu snorted. Okay, fair point. Naruto nodded toward the road. Come on, it's not fancy, but it's home. Fu hesitated for just a moment before following. Home. The word felt strange, foreign, but when she looked at Naruto, at the way he just accepted her without question, she felt something unfamiliar settle in her chest. Maybe, just maybe, she had finally found one, and for the first time in her life, Fu wasn't afraid of staying. Naruto nodded toward the road. Come on, it's not fancy, but it's home. Fu hesitated for just a moment before following. Home. The word felt strange, foreign, but when she looked at Naruto, at the way he just accepted her without question, she felt something unfamiliar settle in her chest. Maybe, just maybe, she had finally found one, and for the first time in her life, Fu wasn't afraid of staying. Naruto's apartment was small, a little messy, but undeniably his asterisk. The moment Fu stepped inside, she could tell, it wasn't just a place he stayed, it was a place he lived asterisk. Scrolls were piled on the table, a few kunai were scattered near the window, and of course, the unmistakable scent of instant ramen filled the air. Fu smirked. Wow, Whiskers, ever heard of cleaning? Naruto rolled his eyes, kicking off his sandals. TCH, it's organized mess. I know where everything is. Fu crossed her arms, raising a brow. Oh yeah, then where's your spare futon? Naruto opened his mouth, paused, then frowned. Somewhere. Fu snorted. That's what I thought. Naruto scratched his head, already moving toward the closet. Give me a sec, I swear I had one. Fu watched as he dug through his things, shaking her head in amusement. It was strange, being here, in his space, seeing him like this. It wasn't a loud, confident Naruto who challenged the world. It was just, him asterisk. And she liked it. After a few minutes and a near-disastrous avalanche of scrolls, Naruto finally pulled out an extra futon. Aha, found it. Fu grinned. I was starting to think you were just gonna make me sleep on the floor. Naruto scoffed. TCH, what kind of guy do you think I am? Fu smirked. A knucklehead. Naruto groaned. Why'd I like you again? Fu stretched her arms over her head, flashing him a cheeky grin. Because I'm awesome. Naruto sighed dramatically. Yeah, just don't snore, alright. Fu flopped onto the futon, rolling onto her side. No promises. Naruto shook his head with a laugh before settling into his own bed. The room fell into a comfortable silence, the kind that didn't need words. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then, softly, Naruto, he turned his head slightly, peering at her in the dim light. Yeah, Fu hesitated, fingers curling against the blanket. Thanks for letting me stay, for everything. Naruto blinked, then gave her a small smile. Anytime, Fu. She smiled back, and for the first time in a long while, she felt safe. And as she drifted off to sleep, she knew. She had finally found where she belonged. The night passed quietly, the usual noise of Konoha dimmed under the hush of late hours. Naruto had expected to fall asleep instantly, but his mind refused to settle. He lay on his side, staring at the ceiling, listening to the steady rhythm of Fu's breathing. It was strange, having someone else here, in his home, in his space. But it wasn't bad asterisk. If anything, it felt right asterisk. He turned his head slightly, peering over at her. Fu was curled up in the futon, her green hair spilling over the pillow, her face peaceful in sleep. She looked so different like this, so calm asterisk. Naruto smiled to himself. She fit here, like she belonged asterisk. Before he could think too much about it, his eyes grew heavy, and sleep finally pulled him under. Morning came with the golden light of sunrise filtering through the window. Naruto groaned as he sat up, rubbing his eyes. He was about to stretch when he felt something shift beside him. Wait, his futon wasn't supposed to be this warm asterisk. Naruto froze, slowly turning his head, only to find Fu sprawled out half on top of him, her arm draped across his chest, her leg hooked over his. She had completely invaded his space. His face burned. The hell? Fu stirred at his sudden movement, her brows furrowing as she grumbled sleepily. 5 more minutes, whiskers. Naruto twitched. Fu. She buried her face against his side. Comfy. Naruto groaned, running a hand down his face. TCH. You're impossible. Fu cracked one eye open, peering up at him with a lazy smirk. You love it. Naruto grumbled under his breath, but his flustered expression betrayed him. Fu yawned, finally stretching before rolling off him. Alright, I'm up. Geez, whiskers, no need to get so worked up. Naruto scoffed. You literally used me as a pillow. Fu smirked. Yeah, and Naruto opened his mouth, then shut it. Nope, he was not winning this argument. Fu sat up, stretching her arms above her head. So, what's the plan for today, oh great host? Naruto sighed, running a hand through his hair. First, breakfast. Then, we figure out how to explain to Granny Tsunade why you're suddenly living here. Fu grinned. Ooh, I can't wait to see her reaction. Naruto groaned. This is gonna be a long day. Fu laughed, giving him a playful nudge. Hey, look on the bright side, at least you get to spend it with me asterisk. Naruto rolled his eyes, but he couldn't hide the small smile tugging at his lips. Yeah, maybe this was gonna be a long day. But with Fu around, he didn't really mind. Breakfast was surprisingly peaceful, considering Fu's presence practically guaranteed chaos. Naruto had expected her to either burn something down or challenge him to a food war, but instead, she just sat cross-legged on the floor, lazily munching on some toast while watching him cook. You actually know how to make food that isn't ramen? Fu asked, feigning shock. Naruto scoffed as he flipped an omelet onto a plate. TCH. Believe it or not, I can cook. I just choose not to most of the time. Fu grinned. And here I thought I'd have to survive off instant noodles forever. Naruto set down a plate in front of her before grabbing his own. Yeah, well, don't get used to it. I'm only doing this 'cause I don't wanna hear you whining all day. Fu smirked, taking a bite. Sorry, Whiskers, but you might have just made me stay forever. Naruto nearly choked on his food. What? Fu laughed at his reaction, playfully nudging his foot under the table. Relax, I'm kidding. Mostly. Naruto huffed, but there was a warmth in his chest that hadn't been there before. It was weird, having her here, teasing him, acting like this was normal asterisk. And maybe he wanted it to be. They made their way to the Hokage's office after breakfast, with Fu practically bouncing beside him the entire way. You're way too excited about this, Naruto muttered. Fu grinned. Oh, come on, this is gonna be fun asterisk. For you, maybe. Fu elbowed him. Where's that legendary Naruto confidence, huh? Naruto sighed, pushing open the doors to the office. Granny, we need to talk. Tsunade glanced up from her paperwork, eyes narrowing instantly. What did you do this time? Fu cheerfully waved from behind Naruto. Hi, Lady Hokage, I moved in with him. Naruto whipped around. Fu. Tsunade's pen snapped in half. You what? Fu grinned. Oh yeah, I'm staying in Konoha now. Thought I'd let you know. Tsunade slowly turned to Naruto, her eye twitching. Explain. Naruto groaned, dragging a hand down his face. This is gonna be a long day. Fu just beamed, completely unbothered. Tsunade's glare could have burned a hole through steel. Naruto, already regretting every life decision that had led him to this moment, sighed and rubbed the back of his head. Look, it's not what it sounds like. He blurted out, hands raised as if warding off an attack. Fu needed a place to stay, and, my place was the only option. Fu leaned in, smirking. Whiskers, you make it sound so unromantic asterisk. Naruto gawked at her. Will you stop that? Tsunade pinched the bridge of her nose. I swear to Kami, if this is some kind of elaborate joke. Fu threw up her hands. No joke, I'm serious. I'm staying in Konoha. Tsunade's eyes narrowed. Why? Fu's grin faltered, and for a moment, she hesitated. Then, crossing her arms, she said, because I want to. I'm tired of wandering. I want a place I can actually belong asterisk. Tsunade studied her for a long moment, then shifted her gaze to Naruto. And you just happened to take her in. Naruto shrugged. Yeah, what else was I supposed to do? Kick her out. Fu elbowed him playfully. See, he likes having me around. Naruto groaned. Stop making it weird. Tsunade sighed heavily, massaging her temples. Fine, but if you're staying, Fu, you'll need to be officially recognized as a Konoha kunoichi. That means paperwork, proper lodging, and most importantly, rules asterisk. Fu huffed. Bureaucracy. Naruto smirked. Welcome to my life. Tsunade scribbled something on a document before fixing Fu with a stern look. Since you're staying with Naruto temporarily, or permanently, asterisk, Fu muttered under her breath. Tsunade ignored her. I expect you to report to me in a week. If you're serious about being a part of this village, we'll discuss your place here officially asterisk. Fu saluted. You got it, boss lady. Tsunade sighed again, then turned to Naruto. And you, if anything gets out of hand, I will personally deal with it. Naruto gulped. Noted. Fu leaned toward him. Does she always threaten you like this? Naruto muttered. More than you think. Tsunade waved them off. Get out of my office before I change my mind. Fu grabbed Naruto's wrist and yanked him toward the door. Come on, Whiskers, let's go celebrate my official almost acceptance into the village. Fu, wait. And just like that, they were gone, leaving behind a very exhausted Hokage. Tsunade sighed, looking at the broken pen in her hand. That girl is going to be trouble. But as she glanced at the paperwork in front of her, she couldn't help but smirk. Then again, maybe that's exactly what Naruto needs. Fu practically dragged Naruto through the streets of Konoha, her energy boundless as she grinned ear to ear. Alright, Whiskers, what's the plan? How are we celebrating my almost acceptance into Konoha? Naruto sighed. I didn't agree to a celebration. Fu ignored him. Ooh, how about ramen? My treat. Naruto perked up. Wait, your treat. Fu grinned. What? Think I'm broke? Naruto shrugged. I just found out you didn't have a place to stay until last night. Forgive me if I assumed you didn't have a solid financial plan. Fu huffed. I'll have you know I do have money saved up. Besides, I might as well start getting used to spending it in my new home, right? Naruto blinked. Something about the way she said home made his chest feel oddly warm. He rubbed the back of his head. Hey, yes, I can't argue with that. Fu grinned, grabbing his wrist again. Good. Now, let's go before you start getting all sentimental on me. Ichiraku ramen was quieter than usual, which suited Naruto just fine. The moment they sat down, Tuki greeted them with a warm smile. Naruto, and a new face. What can I get you both? Fu leaned forward, practically vibrating with excitement. Whatever's best. I've never had ramen from here before. Tuki blinked. Never had ramen from here. Naruto, how could you keep such a wonderful place from your friend? Naruto groaned. Oh, now I'm the bad guy. Fu giggled. Relax, Whiskers. I'm about to experience ramen enlightenment asterisk. Naruto smirked. Alright, but don't say I didn't warn you. Once you start eating here, there's no going back. Fu waved a dismissive hand. PFF'd. Please, how good can? The first bite shut her up completely. Naruto watched in amusement as Fu froze mid-chew, eyes widening like she had just tasted heaven itself. Slowly, she swallowed. Then, in a voice full of reverence, Whiskers. Naruto grinned. Told ya. Fu immediately turned to Tuki. I love you. Tuki laughed. I'll take that as a compliment. Naruto shook his head, chuckling as he took a bite of his own. Fu sighed happily. Okay, maybe staying in Konoha was the best decision of my life. Naruto smirked. Took you long enough to figure that out. Fu shot him a playful glare but didn't argue. Instead, she nudged his foot under the table. Guess I'll be seeing a lot more of you, huh? Naruto paused for just a second before nodding. Yeah, and for some reason, that thought didn't bother him at all. The days that followed settled into an unexpected rhythm. Fu, true to her word, made herself right at home in Naruto's life, much to his frustration and amusement. She wasn't just loud, she was everywhere asterisk. If he woke up early, she was already up, stretching on the balcony. If he trained, she tagged along, sometimes to spar, sometimes just to watch and heckle him from the sidelines. If he tried to have a quiet moment to himself, she'd find a way to drag him into something ridiculous, like an impromptu race through the village rooftops. And yet, Naruto couldn't deny it, having her around felt nice asterisk. For the first time in a long while, his apartment wasn't just his anymore. It wasn't just a place he came back to after a long day. It was lively asterisk, it was fun asterisk, it was home asterisk. A week later, Naruto found himself sparring with Fu in Training Ground 7, their movements fast and fluid as they clashed in midair. Fu grinned, flipping over him as she narrowly dodged a strike. Come on, Whiskers, is that all you got? Naruto smirked, suddenly vanishing in a blur. Nope. Before she could react, he was behind her. Fu yelped as she was suddenly grabbed and flung toward the ground. At the last second, she twisted, landing in a crouch before skidding back. She blinked. Then, she grinned asterisk. Ooh, now we're talking. Without warning, she shot forward, her speed suddenly doubling asterisk. Naruto barely had time to dodge before she was on him again, fists flying as she weaved between his counters. Naruto grinned. She's fast, asterisk, but so was he. They moved like a whirlwind, neither backing down, neither holding back. They weren't just fighting, they were pushing each other, testing limits neither of them had known existed. And then, in one final move, Fu fainted left, only to twist midair, catching Naruto off guard and tackling him to the ground. They hit the dirt with a thud, both panting hard. For a moment, silence. Then, ha, Fu beamed, still half straddling him. Pinned ya. Naruto blinked up at her. The hell? Fu smirked, leaning down slightly. Admit it, Whiskers. I won asterisk. Naruto scowled. You cheated. Fu grinned wider. Ah, poor baby. Gonna cry. Naruto groaned. I hate you. Fu laughed. A bright, genuine laugh that made Naruto's chest feel strangely warm. Yeah, she teased, finally rolling off him. You love me. Naruto scoffed. Keep dreaming. Fu winked. Oh, don't worry. You're always in my dreams. Naruto choked asterisk. Fu. She cackled, hopping to her feet. Man, you're so fun to mess with. Naruto groaned, covering his face. Why me? Asterisk. Fu plopped down beside him, still grinning. Admit it, Whiskers. You like having me around. Naruto peeked at her from between his fingers. She was smiling, but there was something soft in her expression, something real. And Naruto, after a long moment, sighed. Yeah. Fu blinked. Naruto glanced away, rubbing the back of his head. I mean, yeah, I do. Fu stared at him for a second. Then, to his utter surprise, she blushed asterisk. Naruto smirked. What, cat got your tongue? Fu huffed, shoving his shoulder. Shut up. Naruto laughed. Oh, is Fu actually embarrassed? Fu groaned, throwing herself back onto the grass. Ah, I regret everything. Naruto just grinned. For once, he had the upper hand. And honestly, he liked this feeling. The next few weeks flew by in a blur. Fu had completely integrated herself into Naruto's life, making herself comfortable in his home, his training schedule, and even his social circle. To his horror, she got along way too well with Konohamaru and his friends, quickly becoming their new, big sister, figure. Worse, she had somehow charmed Hinata into friendly conversations, kept up with Kiba in playful brawls, and even impressed Shikamaru enough that he actually talked to her instead of lazily brushing her off. And then, there was the worst thing of all. She and Tsunade got along. Naruto had no idea how that happened, but Fu had somehow managed to make the Hokage fond of her. It was terrifying asterisk. One day, after a mission, Naruto came home to find Fu sitting at the table, casually flipping through a bingo book. Whiskers, asterisk, she greeted, not even looking up. How was your mission? Naruto frowned, kicking off his sandals. Not bad, just some stupid escort job. His eyes narrowed. What are you reading? Fu grinned, finally looking up. Oh, this. Granny Tsunade let me borrow it. Naruto froze. She what? Fu smirked. She said, and I quote, if you're going to be living here, you might as well know who's worth punching in the face. Naruto gawked asterisk. Granny just gave you a bingo book. Fu shrugged. What can I say? She likes me. Naruto groaned, dragging a hand down his face. That's it. The world's ending. Fu giggled, closing the book. Oh, come on, Whiskers. You're just jealous 'cause I'm the favorite now. Naruto scoffed. Yeah, right. Fu leaned forward, resting her chin in her hand. Admit it, you love that I'm here. Naruto opened his mouth to retort. But then, she smiled. Not her usual mischievous grin. Not the cocky smirk she gave when she won a sparring match. A real, soft, genuine smile. And just like that, Naruto forgot what he was about to say. His face felt strangely warm. His heart did this weird little flip in his chest, and he suddenly found it very hard to meet her eyes. Whatever, he muttered, grabbing an apple from the table before turning away. Fu giggled behind him. Ah, you're so cute when you're flustered. Naruto scowled. I hate you. Fu grinned. Love you too, Whiskers. And as much as Naruto wanted to argue, he wasn't sure he could anymore. Time passed, and without Naruto even realizing it, Fu had become a permanent part of his life. She was there in the mornings, stretching on the balcony while the sun rose over Konoha. She was there at night, lying on his couch and throwing popcorn at his head while they argued over stupid things. She was there in battle, grinning wildly as they fought side by side, perfectly in sync. And she was there in the quiet moments too, the ones that snuck up on him when he least expected. Like now, they sat side by side on the Hokage monument, the village sprawling beneath them, bathed in the golden light of sunset. Fu let out a content sigh. Man, I love this spot. I can see everything from up here. Naruto smirked, told ya it was the best view in the village. Fu hummed, kicking her legs lazily over the edge. You know, I never thought I'd find a place that actually felt like mine asterisk. Naruto glanced at her. She was smiling, but it wasn't her usual grin. It was softer, quieter. Takigakure was never home, she admitted. It was just the place I lived. The place I was stuck asterisk. She hugged her knees to her chest. But here, it's different. You're different. Naruto felt his heart stutter. Me. Fu laughed lightly. Yeah, you don't treat me like I'm weird. Or dangerous. Or some walking weapon. She nudged his shoulder. You just treat me like me asterisk. Naruto swallowed. Well, yeah, 'cause you are you. Fu looked at him then. Really looked at him, her bright green eyes searching his. You get it, don't you? Naruto hesitated. Then, quietly, yeah. Fu smiled, and for a moment, neither of them said anything. Then, hey, Whiskers. Naruto blinked. Yeah. Fu smirked. Wanna do something stupid? Naruto raised an eyebrow. Define stupid asterisk. Fu jumped to her feet, holding out a hand. Race me through the village. First one to reach Ichiraku's wins. Naruto grinned. You're on. And just like that, they were off, sprinting across rooftops, laughter echoing through the night. Because that was just how things were with Fu. Fast, chaotic, unpredictable, asterisk, and maybe, just maybe, that was exactly what Naruto needed. The wind whipped through Naruto's hair as he and Fu raced across Konoha's rooftops, their footsteps barely making a sound against the tiles. You're too slow, Whiskers. Fu taunted, flipping effortlessly over a gap between buildings. Naruto smirked. You wish. He pushed off the next ledge, propelling himself forward with a burst of chakra. They were neck and neck, leaping, dodging, maneuvering through the village like it was their personal playground. Civilians below barely noticed the streaks of orange and green flashing overhead. As they neared Ichiraku Ramen, Fu suddenly made a sharp turn, kicking off a lamppost and landing right in front of the stand. Ha! She spun around, pointing at him victoriously. Looks like I win. Naruto skidded to a stop, panting. Number way, you cheated. Fu gasped dramatically. How dare you? I won fair and square. Naruto huffed. *TCH. Rematch. Fu smirked. After ramen, she winked. Loser pays. Naruto groaned. You planned this, didn't you? Fu plopped down on a stool. Of course I did. You think I'd let a free meal slip away? Naruto muttered under his breath but took the seat next to her. Fine, but I'm ordering extra. Fu grinned. You always do. Tuki chuckled from behind the counter. You two sound more and more like an old married couple every time I see you. Naruto choked on air asterisk. What? Fu, on the other hand, grinned. Ah, you think so? Naruto turned bright red. Don't encourage him. Tuki laughed while Ayame giggled behind him. Fu simply shrugged, unbothered. I mean, let's be real. We already live together, train together, eat together. We're basically dating. Naruto nearly fell off his stool. Fu. Fu just cackled. Relax, Whiskers, I'm just messing with you. She nudged him playfully. Unless. Stop. Fu laughed harder, clearly enjoying herself. You're too easy. Naruto groaned, slumping onto the counter as Tuki placed two steaming bowls in front of them. Fu grinned. Come on, eat up, lover boy. Naruto shot her a glare before sighing in defeat. I hate you. Fu smiled. Love you too, Whiskers. And as much as Naruto wanted to argue, the truth was, he didn't mind it at all. Days turned into weeks, and their bond only grew stronger. Fu had become a permanent fixture in Naruto's life, and though he'd never admit it out loud, he liked having her around. She was chaos wrapped in bright colors and boundless energy, a constant source of laughter, mischief, and something else. Something softer, something that made his chest feel tight when she smiled at him like that asterisk. He tried not to think about it too much. One evening, after a long day of training, they sat on Naruto's couch, shoulders touching as they shared a bag of chips. The only light in the room came from the street lamps outside, casting a warm glow through the window. Fu yawned, stretching her arms over her head. Man, today was brutal asterisk. Naruto smirked. You're just mad I kicked your ass in sparring. Fu shot him a look. Oh, please, you wish you were that good. Naruto chuckled, reaching for another chip, only for Fu to steal it right from his fingers. Hey. Fu grinned, crunching loudly. Should have been faster, Whiskers. Naruto scowled. I hate you. Fu laughed, leaning her head against his shoulder. You love me. Naruto opened his mouth to argue, but the words never came, because suddenly, he realized just how close she was. Her hair smelled like fresh grass and something sweet, like honey. Her body was warm against his, comfortable, familiar asterisk. His heartbeat picked up. Fu must have noticed because she peeked up at him, blinking. Whiskers. Naruto swallowed. What? Fu tilted her head. You're staring. Naruto looked away immediately asterisk. No, I'm not. Fu smirked. You totally are. Naruto groaned. Shut up. Fu giggled, but she didn't move away. Instead, she curled up a little closer, resting against him fully. Naruto sat there, stiff, trying very hard to act normal. Fu yawned again. You're warm. Naruto swallowed. Thanks. Fu hummed sleepily. I like it. Naruto forced himself to breathe. Cool. Great. Good to know. Fu didn't respond. A few minutes later, Naruto realized she had fallen asleep asterisk. He exhaled, relaxing just a little. Then, without thinking, he shifted slightly, just enough to let her rest more comfortably against him. Maybe he didn't mind this so much. Maybe he didn't mind her so much. And maybe, just maybe, that was a problem. Naruto sat there, staring at the ceiling, trying to ignore the way Fu's breath tickled his neck as she slept against him. This is fine, asterisk, he told himself. Totally normal. Just two friends, hanging out, one of them asleep on the other. Nothing weird at all, asterisk. Fu shifted slightly, pressing closer. Naruto nearly died asterisk. His entire body tensed, and he swore he could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. What the hell is wrong with me? Asterisk. Fu had always been touchy. He should have been used to this by now. But something about tonight felt different. More dangerous. His eyes drifted down to her face, soft and peaceful in sleep. Her lips were slightly parted, her breathing steady, her wild green hair messier than usual. She looked relaxed, vulnerable in a way he didn't see often. Something warm curled in his chest. He quickly looked away. Nope, not doing this, not thinking about this, asterisk. Carefully, very carefully, he tried to shift away. Big mistake. Fu let out a sleepy grumble, frowning slightly. Then, to his absolute horror, she wrapped her arms around him and buried her face in his chest. Asterisk. Naruto froze asterisk. Fu. No response. Just soft breathing and a muffled mumble that sounded suspiciously like his name. Naruto swallowed thickly. He should wake her up. He should asterisk. Instead, after a long moment of inner suffering, he sighed in defeat and let his head rest against the couch. I hate you, he whispered. Fu, still very much asleep, just nuzzled closer. Naruto groaned quietly. He was so screwed. Morning came far too quickly. Naruto groggily opened his eyes, squinting against the soft morning light filtering through the window. He shifted slightly, only to realize that something warm and very much alive was still clinging to him. Then it hit him. Fu. Fu was still wrapped around him, her arms draped lazily over his torso, her face pressed into his chest. One of her legs had somehow hooked over his, practically trapping him in place. Naruto stiffened. Oh, hell, asterisk. Slowly, carefully, he tried to move. But the moment he shifted, Fu let out a sleepy whine and tightened her hold on him asterisk. Comfy, asterisk, she mumbled, voice thick with sleep. Naruto's brain short-circuited asterisk. What the hell is happening? Asterisk. He was not built for this. His heart was slamming against his ribs, his entire face felt like it was on fire, and worst of all, he didn't hate it. Nope, nope, nope. He needed to escape, now, asterisk. Fu. He nudged her shoulder. Boy, wake up. Fu let out a displeased grumble but didn't budge. Fu, asterisk. He tried again, shaking her lightly. Get up, you're crushing me. Fu groaned, eyes fluttering open. She blinked blearily up at him, clearly still half asleep. Whiskers, she murmured, voice hoarse from sleep. Naruto refused to acknowledge how cute that sounded. Yeah, hi, can you move now? Fu blinked at him, as if processing the situation. Then, very slowly, she looked down, realizing exactly how tangled up they were. A beat of silence, then, oh. Another beat, then, suddenly, oh. Naruto barely had time to react before Fu launched herself off him, nearly falling off the couch in the process. What the hell, she yelped, eyes wide as she scrambled to put some distance between them. Why were we? I don't know, Naruto shouted back, face still burning. You wouldn't let go. Fu gaped at him, lies. Truth. Fu groaned, running a hand through her hair. Shit, I must've, I dunno, latched on or something in my sleep. Naruto crossed his arms, glaring. Yeah, no kidding. Fu shot him a look. Oh, relax asterisk, it's not like I did it on purpose. Naruto grumbled something under his breath. Fu arched an eyebrow. What was that? Naruto scowled, turning away. I said you drooled on me. Fu gasped, hands flying to her mouth. No, I didn't. Naruto smirked. Oh, you totally did. Fu groaned, burying her face in her hands. Kill me now. Naruto snickered. Nah, I think I'll let you live with the shame. Fu peeked at him through her fingers, then narrowed her eyes. You're enjoying this way too much. Naruto grinned. Maybe. Fu huffed, crossing her arms. Asterisk TCH. Whatever. It's not like this is the first time we've cuddled. Naruto nearly died on the spot asterisk. We have not asterisk cuddled before. Fu smirked. Oh, please, you let me sleep on you all the time. Naruto pointed at her. That's not cuddling, that's you being a menace. Fu laughed, standing up and stretching. Call it whatever you want, Whiskers. She winked. But you didn't seem to mind. Naruto turned bright red. Shut up. Fu cackled, grabbing her jacket. I'm gonna go grab some breakfast. Try not to miss me too much. And with that, she strolled out the door, leaving Naruto sitting there, still red-faced, staring after her. He groaned, dragging his hands down his face. He was so screwed. Naruto spent the rest of the morning pacing around his apartment, trying very hard to pretend that last night hadn't happened. It was just Fu being Fu. No big deal, nothing to think about, nothing at all, asterisk. But his damn brain refused to cooperate. Every time he closed his eyes, he could feel the warmth of her pressed against him, hear her sleepy murmurs, and... Gah! He grabbed his hair in frustration. What the hell is wrong with me? Unfortunately, his internal suffering was interrupted by the door swinging open. Yo, Whiskers, Fu called out, stepping inside like she owned the place. She was holding 2 bags of food, balancing them on one hand with practiced ease. I brought breakfast. Naruto turned to face her, scowling. Ever heard of knocking? Fu grinned. Ever heard of locking your door? Naruto groaned, rubbing his temples. One of these days, I swear, asterisk. Yeah, you're gonna throw me out. You say that every time, but guess what? I'm still here. She dropped the food onto the table, plopping down onto his couch like it was hers. Now hurry up and eat before I steal your share. Naruto sighed, knowing resistance was pointless. He sat down and grabbed a rice ball, throwing her a half-hearted glare. You really have no shame, do you? Fu grinned around a mouthful of food. Nope. Naruto shook his head but couldn't help smirking a little. They ate in comfortable silence for a while, the tension from earlier slowly fading away. Then, out of nowhere, Fu spoke up. So, about last night. Naruto choked on his rice ball asterisk. What about it? Fu snickered, leaning her chin on her palm. Relax, Whiskers, I'm not gonna tease you. Naruto squinted at her. That's a first. Fu rolled her eyes. I dunno. I guess I wanted to say it was nice. Naruto blinked. Nice. Fu shrugged, suddenly looking uncharacteristically serious. Yeah, I don't usually get to just be close to people like that. She poked at her food. It felt safe. Naruto's breath caught. He hadn't really thought about it like that. But now that she said it, he got it. Yeah, he murmured. I know what you mean. Fu smiled, small but genuine. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Fu, never one to let things stay too serious for too long, smirked. Asterisk Su, you gonna admit you liked it? Naruto groaned, shoving the rest of his rice ball into his mouth just to avoid answering. Fu cackled. That's a yes. Naruto scowled. Asterisk shut up. Fu grinned, stealing another rice ball from his plate. I'm taking that as a confession. Naruto threw a napkin at her face. And just like that, the moment passed, but something between them had changed asterisk. Something unspoken, something that neither of them was quite ready to name.